All right, let's move now from the proposed World Sex Olympics to something else. These days, I would suggest to you, if you want to move a product, it's more difficult. It's about creating a real and meaningful conversation with the consumer. A bit like trout fishing, I would imagine, as opposed to that wide net trawler approach that marketers sometimes have. Content marketing has become very, very critical. And an expert in this field is Zibusiso Mkhwanazi, who is with the agency Avatar. Very warm welcome, and thanks for talking to us. Now, we can talk about the Sex Olympics if you want to, but let's rather talk about content marketing.
Right, let's stick to something that we know.
Speak for yourself. Give us the definition. What are we talking about? Content marketing. It really has become a big buzzword.
I mean, Jeremy, content marketing really, is the art of delivering compelling, relevant information to people who really need it. In summary, that's what it is. And the whole objective of it is when you deliver relevant information to people, they're likely to respond better to the information because they actually need the information. So content marketing is just understanding, the types of content that people need and brands benefiting from those engagements.
And inevitably the content is about conversation.
That's
we
right.
We can get to that in just a moment. But has it completely replaced that broader shotgun approach? Are you killing above the line marketing?
We are growing into above the line marketing. It's still a fairly new concept because you have to ask yourself certain questions, above the line and digital marketing, because content marketing, yes, is part of digital, but you've got to question how it's being done. Because if you think about it, what is branding? Branding is simply creating perception. The perception is created in different ways. It can be created visually. But with content marketing, you create new perceptions, with the content that you push at the right people. These perceptions now become the branding. So you have to ask yourself, what impact will it have on above the line marketing? What impact will it have on digital marketing? Now let's look at the statistics. 0.25 average click-through rate of banners. You've got to ask yourself, do people really want to click on banners? Facebook ads, 0.005 average click-through rates. While people are engaging on social media, do they actually want to see ads? No matter how creative they are, or no matter how creative those banners are, do they really, really want to see them?
Point is taken. You've made the sale.
Yeah.
I buy the concept.
Yeah.
How then do I seed or create a meaningful conversation?
It's about understanding who you're talking to first and foremost. Each person has got different content needs. The builder to the CEO consume different types of content. As a digital agency CEO, there's types of content that I need to be a functional CEO. I need to know the latest in the industry. I need to know what's happening with technology. I need to understand, on the broader perspective, what is happening in the world so that I create relevant strategies, etc. So if there's brands or a brand that pushes this at me in a compelling and relevant way, I'm more likely to interact with those brands. And when I'm ready to make the sale, I'll do it.
Providing the conversation is intelligent. Yeah. And you've got to get that content right.
Yes.
That's a struggle sometimes.
Some struggle creating visual creative, but I think the new battlefield is content creative. Now, the nice part about content creative is that there's some really, really smart tools that can actually help you create those conversations. Now, what I mean by that is after we know who you are, we can actually use very smart people and very smart software to track the most relevant conversations around those topics. So we can track on social platforms, Twitter, Facebook, whatever the case might be, say around magazines, and we wanted to know the most relevant conversations right now around magazines. We're able to scan the internet and look at the types of content that people share the most and apply a bit of creative and apply it to our brands. So we use tried and tested content. So yes, there's an element of creativity, but once again, there's an element of it's proven and it's worked.
How then does the marketer of a brand dip his or her toe into this field? Where's the starting point?
Honestly, Jeremy, it's trial and error. You get it right as you go. When you start, it's about publishing.
Can marketers afford to do that?
Oh yeah. I mean, when you think about it, it's about understanding who they are, all right? And once you get to that point, understanding the messages. And when you get to that point, it's publishing and listening. Because what happens is that once you publish, people will give you feedback. And from that feedback, then you'll know this is relevant, this is not relevant. In the next loop, so with time, you get better and better and better, but you don't just start off a cold base. You start off an informed base, then you get better with time. And all that content and all that feedback is then fed back to your above the line campaigns. It's fed back to your below the line, wherever you're communicating with people, because you understand them better, even your engagements on other platforms become more relevant.
Zibusiso, one aspect we haven't touched on is the risk element to all of this, because you do cede control of the brand.
Yes.
That's a worry, surely.
Unfortunately, I was reading a very scary statistic that from the dawn of evolution up until 2003, the amount of data produced in that time, we produce now every 2 days. So unfortunately, the brands are already in the hands of the consumers as we speak right now. And the best that a brand can do is direct those conversations in the right way and create those perceptions in the right way.
And take the punch if it so happens, and learn from the mistake.
And learn it. That's right. And that's part of the listening process, because when you listen, you get to communicate better. But at the end of the day, you can't control, after engagement, you can't control what a person will do thereafter, but you can influence it.
And a final question then, are you finding in this country that marketers are embracing this, or does that fear factor still exist?
Too many marketers are still obsessed with banners, with above the line.
Because it's safe.
Because it's safe. It's what we all know. But the reality is that the world is going through the content generation.
So how do you convince them to take the risk?
At the end of the day, it's get out of your comfort zone, and actually study what other people are doing. And the reality is that content marketing it's not a new concept. It's been around. It's just that social media is amplifying that conversation. I mean, brands like Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola 2020 strategy, they're saying that in order to double their business in 2020, they're relying on content marketing and less so on radio, on print, et cetera, because they realize the strategic importance. It's about get out of the comfort zone and understand. Call me in your office and I'll explain it to you.
The gauntlet has been thrown down from Avatar. Zibusiso Mkhwanazi, thank you very much for joining us on Mags on Media. As he so rightly says, it's all about the conversation, it's all about the tone. And that conversation also continues on our Facebook page on this address. And when our program continues, our final port of call this week, our very best advertising of 2012.